Good afternoon and welcome to weeks 6 and 7. Over the next 2 weeks, you will be developing your research paper. So, in paper number 1, what you did is that you made a personal connection to a topic that you would like to explore over the course of the semester. In paper number 2, what's called the annotated bibliography, you're going to document a list of sources and analyze those sources to help you develop a thesis statement for paper number 3. So usually when we write the research paper, and if for those of you that have written a research paper in high school or you've written a research paper in 111, usually our approach is all wrong and we find ourselves frustrated the night before or the week before the paper is due. This is because we always jump 5, 6 steps ahead of the actual research process. So for instance, your teacher gives you an assignment to do a research paper. You decide that you want to do a research paper on gun control. Rather than really analyzing, well, first I should say, rather than making a personal connection to that topic and analyzing the issues that are out there in relationship to this topic, and then formulating your thesis statement based off of an analysis of the issues, many times what we do is that we rush to the library, try to find as many sources that you gotta have for the paper, and then try to regurgitate that information, not truly understanding what's involved with developing a thesis statement. So when you think about the composition of paper number 1, paper number 2, and paper number 3, I want you to think that all of these papers are going to be connected in the sense that it's going to build on your knowledge of your topic. So again, in paper number 1, you're making a personal connection to your topic. In paper number 2, you're researching and you're analyze what specialists, professors, and doctors, and people in the field are saying about your particular topic of research. So in the annotated bibliography, which is the second paper, you're not going to come up with any sort of solution to the issue, but rather you're going to analyze what other people are saying about your topic. Then you'll take that information from the annotated bibliography and use that information to help establish your thesis statement in your third paper. So for this week, you will be reading about the annotated bibliography in your textbook. You'll also be reading about MLA formatting. You'll be reading about identifying scholarly sources. So we're going to talk about the differences, or I should say in your book, they describe the differences between scholarly sources and popular sources. For this paper, you want to make sure that you use scholarly sources, which means no more initial searches on Google. I want you to find your sources through the Delta College Library, your public library, or for those of you who are taking this class as a guest student, your local college library or your university library. Here, you'll be able to use the online databases to find scholarly articles. Some of the major differences between scholarly articles and popular articles are some of these features. So for instance, if you go to a website and you see advertisements, you know that that's a popular website. And a popular website just means that the information is written for a mass audience. A lot of times that information is written at a 7th to 10th grade level. But a scholarly source, on the other hand, is written for academics and students in your position that are writing research papers on that particular topic. So a lot of times, scholarly sources are what's called peer-reviewed. And in these scholarly sources, the other before that actual essay or article or book is published, it goes through an extremely rigorous peer review process from other specialists in the field. So the writer of that text is not necessarily trying to make money from that text, but rather they're trying to add knowledge on that particular topic. So you'll notice that as you're doing your searching for your sources, you'll notice the major differences between academic and popular sources. I've also uploaded a YouTube clip that talks about some of these differences. So don't let this, when you learn these differences, you're going to also realize that looking at scholarly sources is much more challenging and much more difficult than popular sources. And you're going to want to revert back to some of those old habits and clicking on Google and trying to find the first 5 hits to make your life seemingly easier. I cannot tell you how much that's only going to make your life harder, because I'm going to make sure that the sources that you list are scholarly. You want to make sure that you read over the assignment sheet for the annotated bibliography, and the assignment sheet will let you know how many popular sources you can have and how many scholarly sources that you're required to have. I'm going to have you continue to read the yellow section of your textbook. Now, if you haven't realized by now, the yellow section discusses grammar, mechanics, compositional issues, issues dealing with usage. So you'll get a better understanding of how this book is divided. A lot of that stuff should be a refresher from your high school English classes and your 111 classes, but I would just like to reorient you again on some of those issues related to composition, such as sentence structure, such as providing a sense of coherence, such as providing a sense of unity in your paper, and making sure all of your points are organized, making sure your MLA formatting is correct, making sure that you're not making some of those grammatical errors that we tend to make when we're trying to transfer from the spoken to what's written. And if you want to supplement that information from the yellow pages and from anything from your book, you can also look on Purdue OWL, which is a really good, helpful website. And I'm going to have you go to Purdue OWL this week. I'll provide a link on the announcements page that sends you to Purdue OWL, and there'll be a search bar, and you can just punch in any sort of question that you have in relation to writing. Let's see if there's anything else. There's also, like I said, that there will be a YouTube clip that discusses the differences between scholarly sources and popular sources. And then I've also given you a link to help you develop some of the research questions that you have related to your topic. One of the things that I really want to enforce for this annotated bibliography is that the annotated bibliography is going to start out extremely broad. So you might, when you think about what you did in your paper number 1, whether it be bullying, whether it be special education, whether it be nursing, your annotated bibliography can build from that paper number 1. So your annotated bibliography might be cyberbullying. And then you're going to find sources that deal with and talk about particular issues related to cyberbullying. And then you will hone in based off of the information from your annotated bibliography to help you write paper number 3. So you're also going to have to do a discussion board for this week. The discussion board is going to be similar to the discussion board from the second week. So I have a sample annotated bibliography that I want you to read, and in the discussion board you will talk about the grade that you've given that student and also why you've given that student that grade. Finally, I'm going to add another discussion board post that I want you to comment on. I'm going to do that as soon as I get finished recording this video. But I also want you to familiarize yourself with Delta College's online library. For those of you who are able to come out to the library, that's great as well. But I also want you to familiarize yourself with the online resources that are available to you. So I'm going to set up another discussion board post in which I want you to talk about your experience with finding sources over the next 2 weeks, and also talk about some of the challenges and questions that you have so that I can address some of those issues. Other than that, as always, I'm here if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. I will get back with you in terms of your paper number 1. Give me about 2 weeks to upload that grade and upload that to the Dropbox. But other than that, if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. Good luck, happy writing, happy reading, and I'll see you in cyberspace.